Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Two Spot Monkeys Live. You are joining us here for episode 104. Thanks for coming back. Sorry for the hiatus of one additional week. That Midwestern weather foiled us again, Jim, and it almost did it this week, but it hasn't, and we're here together. How are you, bud?
I am good. I'm glad to be with you. And yeah, you just don't know when that's going to happen. And except I can tell you that it's here in Nebraska this year, Wednesday night. You can just pencil it in. Wednesday night, bad weather. We've talked about before. I run trivia nights as a side business, and I have a weekly night or weekly game on Wednesday nights. And the owner and I were joking that like he and I have had to have more conversations about weather this winter. Actually canceled one, and then some other weeks where we've been like, yeah, what do you think? Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Yeah, pencil it in. Wednesday nights here in Nebraska, which probably means, which does translate then to kind of the Thursday Friday time frame if the same system moves towards Michigan. So it foiled us last week, but here we are.
And we know how much people love tuning in and downloading this podcast just for the meteorologist updates.
That's absolutely. We have your weather on the ones with Tom and Jim. So we'll move on from weather, but yeah, little weather delay last week.
It's been the thread of what we do on a regular basis, so that's why I think it's so funny.
It is. It's very true. So you didn't get to hear us make our Elimination Chamber picks last week, although we did post them on Twitter if you follow there. And if you don't, why aren't you? At G-Spot Monkeys, you should. I can't say we're super active on Twitter, but, maybe. But we do post them there, especially if we have things like that or we're unable to record for whatever reason. So we did have our picks posted up there. They were posted kind of just before Elimination Chamber because I didn't get mine done and posted on the board that we also are part of until about an hour before the deadline. So they got posted pretty close.
And almost for me too, I was pretty late in the day on Saturday because again, we had weather related stuff and cancellations, that impacted my household and my family on Friday. And then the fallout from that, and then the stuff you don't do on Friday pushes into Saturday when you can finally get back out. And I was like, I won't forget to get those posted though. So I'm glad I didn't. I can't take an 0-5.
Ooh, that would be bad. That'd be bad. That's hard to overcome, even with all the shows we've got. But our head-to-head update. So our picks were Tom, you went with Sami Zayn, Austin Theory, Asuka, Edge and Beth Phoenix, and Brock Lesnar. And I went with Roman Reigns, Austin Theory, Asuka, Finn Balor, and Rhea Ripley, and Brock Lesnar. So we were both 3-2 on the day, just a little different path to how we each got there. So from a head-to-head update, that puts me at 12-4 and you at 11-5, headed into Revolution next weekend. So we'll be, I guess we haven't talked about scheduling. Are we good to record next week, Tom?
As far as I know, again, to go back to the whole weather on the ones. This winter has been crazy, right? So we've actually already had, what I would consider in Michigan at least, some false spring, right? So we've had some like 50-degree days, in the month of February, and then to go back and have 19 degrees and ice everywhere, it's like make up your mind.
Right, Mother Nature needs a nap. So when we make our picks, we'll make our picks regardless next week. We'll hopefully here live on the air, but we'll make our picks for Revolution next week, and then it's off to the races. We'll have to look ahead at our schedule because again, we hit that WrestleMania week where we'll have Stand and Deliver, Supercard of Honor, and both nights of WrestleMania. Buckle up for a long one, or maybe we'll split it into two. I know we did that last year, and release them, Friday, Saturday, or something that weekend. But we'll figure that out. We got a month or so, a little bit over a month to get there. But 12-4, 11-5 is where we sit. Elimination Chamber, we didn't get to actually talk about those picks, obviously, as we mentioned. So maybe as we recap, it'll be fun to hear kind of how we came to those or what we were thinking. Let's just go in order of the show, I guess, would be the best. So the women's Elimination Chamber, Tom kicked off the show with not Bianca Belair, goodness gracious, Asuka winning the right to face Bianca Belair over Raquel. Goodness, where's my voice today? Raquel, Carmella, Natalya, Nikki Cross, and Liv Morgan. What'd you think of the match? And we were both right on Asuka. So
Yeah, it was a very fine match, and I felt like they did just enough, but not too much, and they didn't underwhelm. It was kind of like a very like appropriate start to the show, but it didn't feel like it was too much, which probably made sense considering what the men did later on. And I know we'll talk about that. So that's how it landed for me.
yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought everybody kind of had their time to shine, which is really important in those matches. Last year the Elimination Chamber matches went like 14 minutes, which is crazy. When I think it used to be 3 or 5 minutes was the interval between people coming out of pods.
It was.
Now this year I noticed that they said at timed intervals. They didn't give you the timing. And after I caught that, it was during the men's where I caught they were saying that. I thought, I really wish I would have, used my phone to stopwatch it and see, like, just out of sheer curiosity, what were those timed intervals and were they the same time between each interval? I guess it felt the same. I didn't notice like, oh wow, that was really fast for them to go back to the pods. But yeah, I thought the women did a really good job. I thought Raquel looked like a beast, and I'm really high on Raquel Rodriguez. I think, and Triple H was in NXT and seems to be. I mean, they're not strapping the rocket to her on the main roster, but they're protecting her pretty well. She lost to Ronda in a title match right before the Charlotte Flair thing, but she's not out there taking L's to Dana Brooke or anything like that. They're protecting her pretty well. So I think they see a bright future for her, and I think they should. But I thought everybody kind of had I thought Liv, passing out was to 2 submissions, kept her strong too.
The visual on that was pretty cool.
Yeah, agreed. They shot that really well. Production usually does a really good job. Usually, every once in a while they have one where you're like, where are they going with that camera? But that was good. Yeah, so it was a good start to the show. And we were both feeling pretty good after one match each. I ended up watching it on Sunday. You did not see it live either, right?
No. Did I watch it Monday?
Okay.
I think I watched it Monday throughout the course of the day.
So yeah, but I was spoiler free, and I'm assuming you were as well. And no shock though, Asuka. I mean, really, would I like to see Raquel Rodriguez get that spot at WrestleMania? Sure. Do I think they've done enough to build her to make that feel like WrestleMania? No.
Yeah, we're probably a year out on Raquel. If we're looking at kind of like past, if templates, if you will, it would seem like that might make sense. I could definitely see Raquel being in the mix, even in the latter half of this year, if we get there quicker, in terms of title contention and true like upper crust, for lack of a better term. But yeah, next year without question too, whether it's Rumble or Chamber, Raquel definitely should be in the mix.
And I think I heard Denise Salcedo say on Fightful this week, she thinks it would have made more sense if Asuka and Raquel though were the last two, because there would have been that little bit for some people at least of like, oh, are they going to do it? When it was Asuka and Carmella, I don't think anybody thought Carmella was going to win that. Nothing against Carmella. She does a nice job. She's got a good spot on the roster, and she's kind of in that mid card of the women. But yeah, I don't think anybody was like, oh, Carmella's going to beat Asuka. No, she's not. We moved on then to Brock and Bobby in. What are they doing, Tom? I think they're playing with us a little bit here. But so Brock gets DQ'd with the low blow. Which I love that low blows sometimes are DQs and sometimes the ref just yells at you for them. That's a pro wrestling trope. But so Bobby,
what you see or what you don't see.
Sometimes you can see things like, you can't tell me the ref that ran down to the ring in the main event didn't see Jimmy Uso interfering, and all of a sudden the only thing he saw, like his eyesight suddenly started working as soon as he slid under the ropes, or what? Like, come on.
He wasn't the original official, which is why he chose to not make that compromising call. I don't know.
There are just moments like that, and I know it happens throughout wrestling. This isn't a dig at WWE, but where you're like, man, I got to suspend my disbelief on that one, because that doesn't make, how'd the ref even know to come out to the ring if he hadn't been watching what was going on? But anyways, So Brock kicks him low. What I used to use Steve Carino's word. Kicked him in the ding ding, and got the Bobby gets the DQ win. Brock beats everybody up. F5s everybody. The ref, Bobby, everybody. And interestingly, on Friday night prior to Elimination Chamber, Bray Wyatt had said whoever wins that or survives should run. So it seemed like Bray was challenging the winner, presumably for Mania, which is a little bit of like I didn't see that being where Bray was going for Mania. But Bobby just beat everybody up on Raw on Monday, and kind of reclaimed dominance. And Brock gets challenged on Monday by Omos. Tom?
A lot, yeah. So a lot to unpack. So starting back with the match, I liked the match. It was good for what it was. We always we can hem and haw over clean or not clean finishes. This was probably one of the non-clean finishes that I'm fine with, because it didn't hurt either guy. It made actually Lashley and Hurt Lock look really, really devastating.
Right. Because Brock knew the only way he could get out was kicking him. So that.
Yep. And then it showed on the end of Brock a little bit of vulnerability, right? Like Brock's been dominant for so long, we've never really seen this. So now we're seeing this. If the path was to reprogram these guys or continue the program to WrestleMania, then the finish definitely makes sense. And then they do something, they add a step.
Last man standing or something like that, I feel like.
And maybe that's where we still end up. I don't know.
I think it's possible.
Yeah. Brock and Omos? No thanks. I'm not down for that. And
that's a Monday Night Raw match, or at most like a Backlash Judgment Day, not Judgment Day, that's a stable now. But random not top tier. It's not a WrestleMania or SummerSlam match. Not at all.
No. And then with the Bray Wyatt piece, again, and what's going on there in that carnival of chaos, I don't know how he fits in with either Brock or Bobby. And I'm using my frame of reference for how he returned and then what he did with LA Knight as the only reason why I'm making that statement. So again, it's going to make wanting to watch the TV and the product unfold with a different perspective something that I'm interested in and will commit to. So I will say, I know we talked about this a few weeks ago. I really had hoped Raw is in my hometown, 5 minutes from my house this coming Monday. I was planning to go, as fate would have it. The high school basketball playoffs in Michigan for girls begin Monday. My daughter's team got the draw in a 16 bracket where they are the 3rd seed. So they play actually Monday night. And then I got so lucky as they got the 7:00 instead of the 5:30 game. So I will not be going to Monday Night Raw after all, which I'm kind of bummed about, because seeing Brock versus almost the confrontation, if they actually give us that on Monday, and then the other matches they've announced, which are really good. And again, like we've talked about it before, and it hasn't changed for me. I don't believe it's changed for you based on our conversations. Raw and SmackDown and WWE in general have been putting out a really high quality, entertaining product of late.
Yeah, absolutely.
And more than of late. It's probably been, now we're in almost to the eighth plus month of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will say this: if we actually get, and I am more and more of the belief, and some others were quicker to get there than I was, I think. I think I reacted a little more viscerally on Monday night or Tuesday when I first responded to the idea of Brock and Omos, because I still want Brock Gunther. I don't think we're probably getting that anymore, or it doesn't, like, nothing that's happening makes me feel like, oh, okay, this is the path to get there. I think it might end up being that Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre triple threat, which, don't get me wrong, that's going to be really good too. But Brock Gunther is just kind of one of those, I hate to use the word dream matches, but it's such a match you never thought you'd maybe ever see. And yet I really want to see it, because they would beat the tar out of each other. I think that would be very special and could be the match of WrestleMania. Even with some of the other stuff they've got booked, I think that could be the thing that everybody goes, wow. And I think it could make Gunther, just strap the rocket straight to him, which they're clearly building Gunther really well, but this could just, put him into that next stratosphere. I probably need to let go of that dream, and realize that maybe we'll get it at some point. Maybe it'll happen, Brock Gunther at like Money in the Bank, unless one of them is in Money in the Bank or both of them are, because it's over in the UK. That could be really cool later in the year. But I am where I started. I am now more and more in the camp of, I think Brock almost is a red herring. I think Triple H is trolling us a little bit. And it's working. So good job, Triple H, because you got me and you got a lot of other people. If that is what's happening. What's that?
How could they?
Right. Yeah, right. Because my first thought was, if Brock and Almost actually happens at Mania, then I'm sorry, you can't tell me Vince McMahon isn't involved in creative anymore. Like, that's a match Vince would, and there's a little bit of me that thinks Triple H is doing that because everybody's going to freak out and be like, oh, Vince is booking again, because because he knows it too. Triple H knows it. So I do think it's a red herring, probably to get us back to Brock and Bobby. But if you're doing that, then I don't understand why you had Bray do the whole run thing. So is it going to be a triple threat with Bray? Is it going to be some sort of weird tag team, and all of a sudden, like, Brock and Bobby have to tag against Bray and Uncle Howdy? Or, like, I don't know. Like, again, like you said, it's kind of, I'm almost so preconditioned that I feel like I should know where it's going, but I have to step back and go, no, but this is the fun part, where you don't know exactly where it's going yet. And so you go along for the ride. It's been so long since WWE has done that well, that I think I'm still, I don't know, is it PTSD? Like, I expect like I should already know all the matches at Mania, and I don't, and it feels weird. But that's good. It should be fun. I'm curious to see where that goes. I'm curious to see, we'll talk about it, maybe we won't, but Monday night, whatever, with the Becky and Lita against now Damage Control on Monday, which I thought was for Mania. Didn't Becky say at Mania? I thought she did in the promo, but that's happening Monday. Where does that lead? Does Trish Stratus become involved? She was there Monday night and then left. There was a creative change and she left. Is it a 6-woman tag at Mania? There's a lot of things moving in WWE, and I like that. So, anyways, that's what happened in Brock and Bobby, and somehow I just turned to Damage Control and Becky Lynch from that. So here's one of our first, one of the two differences we had on the day in our picks: Edge and Beth Phoenix over Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. You got that right. I got that wrong. I hemmed and hawed on this match, back and forth on it, because to me, if you were going to continue the feud, and judging from Monday night, it appears that we are, and that we're going to get Edge and Finn in some sort of, maybe they finally do that Hell in a Cell match that was originally rumored for Royal Rumble. I feel like that's about the only way you could end this now, since Finn Balor did get involved on Monday night. So I felt like if it was going to continue, that made more sense to have the heels win and Rhea Ripley stay strong, because you're building, she's on top of the world right now. Now, Rhea didn't take the pin, so it doesn't really hurt Rhea, I don't think, in this case. And they very quickly kind of pivoted her away from it anyways with her promo or backstage thing on Monday. But that was my thought process in going with Finn and Rhea. Was I did think we were going to get Finn Edge at Mania one last time in Hell in a Cell, or again, maybe Last Man Standing, or some sort of stipulation. So that was why I picked Finn and Rhea. Obviously, I was wrong. They went with Edge and Beth, and still, I was right in where I thought we were headed. I was just wrong in the path we got there. What made you go with Edge and Beth?
Yeah, I didn't think there was a question at all that they weren't winning. So I was glad I was right, and I was glad that you went the other direction. But I do agree with your logic there. Like, they could have easily still gotten to where we are now by giving Judgment Day the win. I think the booking, when you look at the long term of Judgment Day, has been really like inconsistent, and that's probably not a bad thing. It's a bad thing for people like us who make picks and have a competition, because you can't follow the breadcrumbs. That being said, I did think too, like, there was an outside shot. Beth by hook or by crook beats Rhea, gets the pinfall over Rhea in this match to keep Edge and Finn, with like unresolved business. And then I do think potentially, and I don't know where I will land when we make these picks, but as of today, I would think Rhea is dethroning Charlotte, and then that would give Rhea and Beth a high profile title match where then Rhea would be able to build her legacy as a champion by beating Beth Phoenix down the road. Again, that may still come about, but it doesn't necessarily connect back to what happened here. So I did appreciate that they broke out the Shatter Machine. I think Edge is buddies with FTR, so like him incorporating that, pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was pretty cool stuff. The U.S. title Elimination Chamber match, Austin Theory defends his title over Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. And we had a little side appearance from Logan Paul as well here. This match ruled.
Yeah, it sure did. And then that was back to my comment, like, as it being very much the opposite of what the women's match was. And again, that's not a bad thing because both stand up. But I think what they did here and all of the crazy stuff they did here comparatively to the women's match made it even more impactful.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I thought everybody here looked strong. Gargano and Bronson Reed, I thought, looked better than they have since they came back. Showed what both men are capable of doing. Montez Ford is a made dude. Like,
do I get credit for my prognostication already based on Elimination Chamber? That was what I was watching or thinking as I was watching that match. Remember, I think one of my predictions for this year was that he was going to break out.
Oh, that's true. I think you might have said win a singles title.
Maybe.
But he's on that path. He certainly could.
Look at me. I'm angling for credit already.
Right. I have to go back and we'll have to review the tape. We'll get one of the NFL officials, so they'll certainly get it wrong. But anyways, that's a different conversation for another time. Montez was awesome in this. His like Spider-Man thing off the top of the chamber, or from the inside roof of the chamber, like, give me a break. Even though I saw it coming kind of as he was climbing and getting there, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. My only question was he just going to do what he did and drop, or was he going to try to flip? And my only thought was, don't flip. Don't try to flip. Just go. So I was glad he didn't try to make it a 360 or something on the way down. There's not enough room there in my mind, and a lot can go wrong. There was a Poison Rana. Gargano was involved in it. He was the one that took it, I think.
Gargano on Reed. It was Gargano on Reed.
And Gargano almost landed like on his head, if I remember right.
Yes.
And yeah, that was scary. Everybody looked great in this match. Logan Paul comes down, gets the distraction. Obviously, we're headed to Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. We've kind of known that for a little while, or it seemed very obvious that's where we're going for Mania. I think that's going to be a really good match. Austin Theory is definitely headed for John Cena at WrestleMania. There's way too much mention of John Cena from Austin Theory, and Cena's coming back in 2 weeks on Raw. I mean, I'm just glad that it's in 2 weeks and not this Monday, because if you had to miss John Cena's return, if that was happening in Grand Rapids, that would be, I'd feel terrible for you anyways, but I'd feel even worse. Like, not that you haven't seen John Cena 100 times, I'm sure, but it'd just be cool to be a part of that when he comes back for the first time in a while and gets the pop.
Absolutely.
And all that.
Yeah.
No,
my only nitpick about this, and my only nitpick is the Logan Paul thing at the end. It just, the timing seemed a little bit goofy. I don't know if you caught it. They've actually done really well to, in the post edit, like the video package, show that it seemed very seamless, or that it was seamless. Where he was and where Seth was in the corner, like Seth had to adjust. So like watching it unfold live, it looked a little like too choreographed, and I hate to use that word, but like the positioning just wasn't perfect on Logan Paul's entry. Everything after that, him like deciding to leave and then doing the curb stomp, that was great. That's my only nitpick. Aside from that, again, just a really super strong match.
And just the idea that Logan Paul is the guy using the buckshot lariat. I mean, there's a little bit of a wink and a nod to taking a shot at AEW there. Come on. Although he probably saw Adam Page do it and was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to do that move. And for a guy like Logan Paul, who's athletic, but still very new in his pro wrestling training, even though he is doing far better in the ring than I think anybody could have ever expected from the guy. I think that's a fairly safe move for him to do too. He's just flipping over the top rope and throwing a clothesline. But it looks cool. So I don't know. I've always thought it was kind of funny that he uses that.
We are in a full-on wrestling war, Jim. You should know this by now.
It sure seems like we are. So then we finish up with the world title match. Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn. Roman Reigns defeats Sami Zayn. Jimmy Uso gets involved. Jey Uso gets involved, but doesn't physically involve himself. He just stands there with a very conflicted look, and then ends up taking was it a spear from Zayn, I think, accidentally? Or a haluva kick. No, it was a spear, I think.
It was a spear, yeah.
Yeah, and then Zayn gets beat and then, starts to get beat down. Kevin Owens comes down, makes the save, but the big hug does not happen. I thought that's where we were going to end Montreal, was the big hug, but they didn't. And actually, I like that. Again, sometimes you think, it's going to happen. And then when they do something else, you're like, oh, that actually is better. It's coming. We all know it's coming, but they're making us wait for it. And I thought Kevin Owens' explanation on Monday night of, Sammy, you stood there and watched me get beat to smithereens, basically, back at the Royal Rumble. Why in the world would I do this for you? I'm doing it because I hate the bloodline. I thought it made sense. Why wouldn't Kevin Owens still be mad at Sami Zayn? Like, Sammy's done some really reprehensible things to Kevin Owens throughout this whole story, and then stood there and watched, even though, yes, he didn't end up hitting him with a chair and, turned at that point. He didn't stop anybody else from hitting Kevin Owens with a chair either before that. So it made a lot of sense. I thought this match was great. I believed, I picked Roman. In fact, I think I put my 5 on Roman. I was dead set it would be Roman. So I wasn't surprised with the outcome, but I thought they still had a couple of moments where I thought for a quick second, like, oh, they might do it. I thought it was great. I think Sammy and Kevin against the Usos, which seems like where we're headed for Mania, is going to be great. I loved it all. I love the follow-up. I'm still high on Sami Zayn. I think he's still massively over. I like that him being over, though, is not turning into Daniel Bryan, where people are turning on the other guy, in this case, Cody. The fans are hot as heck for Cody, too, right now. So it's been a little while since WWE's had 2 really over baby faces like this. Which is kind of fun and fun to watch play out. You, on the other hand, Tom, picked Sami Zayn, so I'm curious to hear your thought process that you had there. I think I know maybe what you're thinking, but maybe not.
Yeah, I definitely did not see Roman Reigns losing the title at all. So my Sami Zayn victory was going to be most likely via DQ. Again, in our picks, we don't have to justify that. There's no merit to saying, you don't get extra credit points by going, well, I was right because it was a DQ and not a count out or whatever it was, right? I thought because it being in Montreal and because of all of the other factors, the Uso factor, the Solo Sikoa who wasn't even there, the Kevin Owens factor.
Yeah, that's weird that Solo wasn't there, but
that a DQ for Sammy was enough where I felt, all right, I didn't think Roman was losing the belt at all. And I've seen snippets and I haven't dug into them about people who think they could have easily flipped the title and kind of seen what happens next. You're right. They could have done that. Or they can also stick to what they were going to do bottom line, and no one loses anything in the end. Roman is still incredibly strong. Sammy is still incredibly strong. I was actually quite surprised when the end of this match happened that the crowd wasn't as irate as they seemingly would have been, considering their emotional involvement in the match.
And then Montreal crowd was great Friday and Saturday. They were awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. And again, like it was fine that they ended how they ended, and I really loved, my favorite part of the post match stuff was Roman in the corner, Kevin in the middle, Sammy at the other side, and Kevin sidesteps and Sammy hits the haluba kick.
Yeah.
That was super cool. And then carrying this over into Monday and their interaction to kick off Raw was just great. So WrestleMania being 2 days this year, I think for the first time in my opinion is as justified as it's ever been based on what I think the card already is and what it will become. And I don't know that there's a weak spot right now. I'm sure there's going to be filler and all that nonsense. But like even back to if we get Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus versus all three Damage Control participants, even that's going to be fine.
Right. And I really thought we were headed to Ronda and Shayna for the tag titles, probably at Mania. Hence why I picked up Shayna Baszler in our league. And I still think we could get there.
And that match could even happen before and or night 1 and night 2, right? Like so, like just because you're not exempt from being on both nights,
right? Yeah, I think I agree. I said back when Triple H took over that I was excited to see what he would do with WrestleMania, and so far so good. Like I'm excited to see the continued build and the matches that we're going to get as long as Brock. Like, here's the thing. He could build a great card, and if he puts Brock Lesnar and Omos on there, it's like, the turd ruining everything. Like, don't do it. Like, don't ruin all the other good stuff you're doing, Triple H. My goodness. So there's Elimination Chamber. Next week we will have Revolution picks for AEW. I'm really interested to see how many matches they flesh out for Revolution because the main event is a 60-minute Iron Man. Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. I almost hit mute, and then I realized thankfully it wasn't as loud as it could have been. Also, listeners, if you did hear me sneeze on the podcast, my deepest apologies.
It was a muted enough sound that had I not said bless you, we might have been able to just cover it, but I blew it.
We're at 6 matches ish right now. I think one's not formally announced. Maybe tonight, maybe next week, Wednesday. We did get that Adam Cole is not returning at Revolution, which is probably smart because he's not going to sell more buys, in my opinion. Could he? Yes. Could his match potentially, but it's not needed. And like we talked about way back when we started kind of getting in, we spent a good episode 2 or 3 ago, kind of really talking about AEW and going, if you have an hour Iron Man match, you can't have 10 matches on the card. So being at 6 right now and most likely getting a trios title match gets us to 7. Okay. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 more. And when I say 1 or 2 more, I mean like that includes like the 1 hour, 2 hour
right.
So,
yeah, the buy-in. Yep. Yeah, if they had a couple more, obviously on the buy-in, but I wouldn't go more than about 7 on that main show. Even 7 with an Iron Man match feels like a lot.
Yeah, and that's anniversary weekend for good old Mr. and Mrs. Bobo. So year 23, we celebrate officially on Saturday. I don't know how I'm going to be able to convince my wife that I'm going to want to go to the theater and watch this on the big screen on that Sunday. I may, though. Like, I'm really trying to angle hard of going, let's celebrate our anniversary on Friday and Saturday, selfishly. So that way Sunday we can just enjoy our own time.
I like the way you think, Tom. My wife works both Saturday and Sunday next week, 6:30 to 6:30 basically. And I have a big event Saturday night for my trivia company. So I won't see her at all basically Saturday. So I got a sneaky hunch that's going to be tough for me on Sunday too.
And I like the idea. I've only been to one AEW pay-per-view in the theater, but it's a cost savings for me as opposed to the pay-per-view. And I've bought the pay-per-views before, so I'm not shy on that. But, if I can spend $27 and have a huge theater experience with all of the bells and whistles, sneak in my own snacks.
Yeah, because otherwise it's not a cost savings, Tom.
Yes. or doing it at home, like and this one with the Iron Man match specifically, I really think that in that type of venue with I don't know, even if there's a dozen people there, and again, I'm not even for sure that I'm going yet, so all of this is hypothetical.
Well, either way, we're going to make picks and we'll react.
Yeah. Either way, we're making picks. Either way, we're excited. Whether when we see it, how we see it, Yeah.
This could be the first AEW pay-per-view I miss in quite some time, but all in all, the card looks good. The bad part is the match I might be most excited about is the one that hasn't been announced yet. If they do Elite House of Black, I think that's going to be really, really strong. My only problem is I want House of Black to win those titles, and it's way too soon. So I would have liked them to hold off on that, but that's okay. We'll talk about that next week, assuming it gets announced. Which I'd be surprised if the Elite don't appear on the pay-per-view. Like that would be weird.
Well, House of Black are confronting the Elite tonight. And the Elite,
that's right.
the Elite and Aussie Open have a match. Or I'm sorry, the Young Bucks and Aussie Open, which is going to be awesome. So if you're not already excited for Rampage, that's one more reason to be excited for Rampage.
And I want to say there's at least one other match tonight that I was like, wow, they're kind of stacking Rampage again, which Rampage often has.
Sammy in action?
Could be.
Okay. That's surprising to hear you say that, because to me it's not a throwaway, but
well, that's why I said could be, because I'm like, I don't feel like I would have been that excited about that, but I'm pulling up all Elite on the old Facebook here. See their Rampage thinking about. Oh, okay, they're selling replica tag title belts now, Tom.
$600 for one, $1,000 for two.
Yeah, let's get the two spot monkeys. Young Bucks versus Aussie Willow. Yeah, I don't know what it was then. Willow and Tony action. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, because none of those. I mean, those will be fine matches. Willow and Tony and action and Sammy will be fine, but we hear from Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes. That's an interesting pairing.
Yeah, and do they give us those two versus Swerve and Parker on the buy-in? I mean,
maybe
you could easily give us Swerve and Keith right off the bat, but with this Dustin Rhodes involvement, like, it would make sense they do a tag team, let Dustin Rhodes get taken out, and then Keith Lee wants to avenge him, and that's when we get to Keith Lee and Swerve.
Yeah, that seems. Keith Lee and Swerve, if they did them one-on-one, should be on the pay-per-view, not the buy-in. So a tag makes more sense on the buy-in. And save that Keith Lee Swerve match. You need big matches down the road here as well, so you can get there.
Well, I'm thrilled. Again, I'm missing Raw, as we talked about, but I don't know if I've mentioned it here before. Warrior Wrestling is returning to my hometown in late March. I'm planning to go to that. They announced a lot of the matches for that. We don't necessarily talk about them today, but there's a really good lineup. Lots of good guys on that show. Lots of AEW talent as well. They also announced AEW's return to Michigan. They'll be coming back to Detroit in May. So super excited about that Dynamite opportunity.
And GCW in May as well.
GCW as well. Yep. So I'm going to have to find my way to the other side of the state.
I have to schedule some work visits.
The one thing I'm fortunate about is my daughter lives over there now. So my daughter lives over there. So, in the event that, I don't have another reason to justify travel over there, she's always worth it. So
there you go. You call your daughter and say, hey, I'm going to come visit. And she goes, oh, what wrestling is in town?
She knows me well enough, but
she does. She does. Well, anything else? We're going to do a live unboxing here at the end of the show. I got 2 boxes in the mail that we just thought it'd be fun for those on YouTube to see, and I guess we'll describe it for those on the podcast feed. But anything else you want to touch on, Tom, before
Yeah, so I know you mentioned before we hit record, I think it was before we hit record, that you weren't able to watch all of Dynamite yet. Did you see the Danielson MJF segment?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I hope that you do between now and next week. And I know when we talk next week and we do our preview, that'll be a big chunk of a lot of that conversation. So
60 minutes of it. Iron Man preview. No, I did see the Ricky Starks, Chris Jericho thing, which I thought was really well done. And I love that Shivani called out, Jericho clicks the pen, like you're going on the list. And the crowd pops, and then Shivani says they popped for the click of a pen. I I don't know. I enjoyed that little callback. You know, I'm so on Jericho in the ring at this point. Like he puts on good matches, but I don't get really excited for a lot of Chris Jericho matches at this point. But say what you will, that guy knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to get something over. He's very, very smart when it comes to the wrestling business. Last week on Dynamite, when each of the guys in Jericho Appreciation Society was saying something, and then all of a sudden Jake Hager goes, and I like this hat. I don't know if you caught, Jericho was trying really hard not to break character and laugh.
I did.
I mean,
yeah.
And it was live, obviously, so there was nothing he could do to get out of that. They couldn't just, break and retake it. He was trying to shove his tongue into the side of his mouth and bite the inside of his lip, and he kept himself there. But I will admit, I stopped listening to the rest of that promo and was watching him because I realized, oh man, he's losing it. Jake got him on that one. So that's fun. Yeah, lots of good stuff going on. Our WrestleMania weekend preview, I'm looking forward to that. Ring of Honor is taping their first television for this new version of Ring of Honor this weekend.
And they're already back next Tuesday. Like the first episode is next Tuesday. That's amazing.
I like that they're taping it and then start it. And obviously it's for the build to Super Card of Honor. I am not currently subscribed to Honor Club, and I doubt I will for the TV. More because I struggle to watch Dynamite, Rampage, and any bits of WWE. I don't know where I'd get that hour right now. So to pay $10 and know I'm not going to watch it is kind of like when I had New Japan World for like 6 months and never watched anything or longer. Not because I didn't want to, I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
And so I probably honestly will just read the reports this weekend from the Ring of Honor tapings to see where they're headed, and then catch clips on YouTube or whatever as I can.
Well, so. And if there's something that's ever so compelling, like the good thing is I think they're going to remain in perpetuity on Honor Club. So, right. if you're like, wow, this was actually really good. And then you do want to buy Super Card of Honor and you do want to see the TV that leads up to it. You could easily then plunk down the $10 and catch up on a day that you set aside just for wrestling. Ha ha ha. As if we can do that in our life.
I would say literally the only time I can do that is I'm planning to take the Friday of WrestleMania weekend off. I used to, when I had lots of PTO built up, my previous job, I would take the Friday and the Monday of WrestleMania weekend off. It's probably just going to be the Friday this week or this year. And I'm probably still going to have to hop on a call at 1:00 anyways, but it's a weekly call I'm supposed to be on. But I'm planning to take that Friday off and have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to just watch. But other than that in my life, yeah, that's about the only. I literally have to plan a weekend, and I've turned down trivia gigs that weekend because I said, nope, I'm taking that weekend for me. That's going to be a vacation weekend, quote unquote, so that I can just watch wrestling.
Wrestling staycation.
Wrestling staycation. It's my one time a year, and even my wife is like, you got to have your time. You do you for that weekend. Thank you. Well,
my wife is starting to do these women's retreats here and there, and I'm like, why can't they just happen when there's a pay-per-view?
Right.
Like, I love that. I love that for you, but why can't it coincide with my desire to watch wrestling?
Right. I love that you're doing stuff for you. Now my turn.
If it can just work with the stuff,
I'm gonna go on a wrestling retreat. So, well, I got 2 boxes here, and I know we've got a little bit of time here left, so I want to make sure we've got time. We'll do the crate last. Big Bad Toy Store is somewhere that I have started to order a lot of my wrestling figures from. They don't charge you until it ships, which is nice. So you can pre-order it. And that they also have a system called the Pile of Loot. So you can just have your things when they come in, they charge you for it, and then it goes to your pile of loot if you want. You can just have them shipped right away. If you want to, but it can go to your pile of loot. And then if you order, and that's their way to get you to order more, frankly, that's their little gimmick. But they'll hold it for 90 days and then they'll ship it all at once to you, saving on shipping. And they have $4 standard shipping. So here's my commercial for Big Bad Toy Store, not a sponsor. So it does really save you on shipping, and their prices on their elites are like $22.99. $21.99. So they're right about retail. So you pay for the figure when it comes in, and then if you do the pile of loot gimmick, you pay for shipping and tax when it actually ships. So I had 3 figures sitting in my pile of loot that came in, shipped them pretty much right away because I wanted these 3, but they came in really quickly to each other. So I think I paid for each of the figures, obviously, when they came in, and I think I paid $12 for the tax and shipping then, which was kind of nice. They also have a thing, you can buy standard packaging, which is just, what you get off, or you can upgrade for $3 to what they call collector, where they give you the best of the best, as far as, so you're getting really, really mint on card packaging, and they ship it even better. So on their standard, they just wrap it in bubble wrap really good, which is great. I've had a couple of times where I've bought the collector, but they've emailed me and said, none of what we got qualifies for collector, so we're going to charge you for standard and send you the standard. And the standards have always been really good. Nothing damaged or anything. But I was going to show you, Tom. So I have 3 figures. They're all collect. I did the $3 each on the collector. Let's see if you can see this well. And you can't see anything. Let's turn off the green screen.
I was going to say, your background may be a competition for us this morning.
Yeah. We're going to go to none. There it is. So we'll just get green. All bubble wrap. Lots of bubble wrap in there. And because I did the collector on each of these, they also each come in their own shipping box. So even more protection with a label on it that tells you what it is. And this is my Alf from NECA. I'm going to set Alf to the side just for a minute because we got other things to look at. I'll look at Alf in a minute. But got my little razor blade here. I'm being careful with my razor blade. Ah, yes. And then when you get inside this box, there's plastic around the figure as well. So even more protection. And you can see him there. That is Andre.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Elite 100. I did not get the chase. They don't have, like ringside, you can buy the chase separately. Big Bad, you don't. You just see what you get. Pristine condition. That is a cool looking Andre. He'll come out of the plastic later. But
and gotta love that world title that he's
that Andre belt. Oh man, yeah. That is good stuff. And then throw my bubble wrap around here, creating a mess, but take care of that in a minute.
Like we said, it's like Christmas in February.
It is. Christmas in February is right. And then, oh my goodness, yes. This looks great. Grab the plastic there. And we have Stunning Steve with that TV title belt. Holding the robe open, which is a little Ric Flair streaker-esque, but showing off the title. So Stunning Steve and Andre have come in. They are going on the shelves a little later.
Will you keep them in the plastic?
No, the plastic will come off.
Okay. See, I almost would like keep them in the plastic just to like give that. I mean, they still look great, right? Like, so why not give you that added barrier of
keep the dust off it?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm going to move my mic a little bit here. That didn't mess with my sound too much, did it?
No, you're good.
Okay. So the other thing that I have to open this morning is a couple of weeks ago, before we got online, Tom and I talked, and I'm on Pro Wrestling Crate's email list because I have ordered it the past a few times, and I ordered it once for you, Tom, in fact, with your head-to-head winnings a couple of segments back. And so I see every month they send out, and they always show you a bunch of the wrestlers that'll be featured in the crate. And I had seen in the emails that Ricky Steamboat, who, for those who've listened a long time know, Ricky is my all-time favorite wrestler, was going to be one of the featured people in the crate. And I kept thinking I might want to order that, but I don't know. It didn't say what it was going to be. So I was like, well, but if it's a t-shirt, even though they go up to a size that I wear, they don't come in tall. And if t-shirts aren't tall for me, they just don't work usually. So I was like, it could be a Ricky Steamboat t-shirt. And then, that doesn't work. That's sad. Well, then last week or 2 weeks ago, just before we recorded, they sent a spoiler out And in fact, it was a Ricky Steamboat micro brawler that was coming in the crate. And I was like, well, guess I'm spending $30 or whatever it is, $35 with shipping. But again, those t-shirts, it comes with 2 t-shirts, so they just don't work. So I emailed Tom or messaged Tom, and I was like, hey, what's shirt size? So Tom gave me a shirt size. So the shirts actually will be being shipped off to Tom when we open them. Well, assuming you want them. I mean, if it's somebody you don't want, just tell me and I'll, sell it or something. But don't feel like
someone at Goodwill might just get lucky. I don't know.
Right. I mean, if it's,
I don't know. Do you have Goodwill out in Nebraska? I think
we
Goodwill's a national brand or national organization.
We do. In fact, my old boss is actually the CEO of the Greater Nebraska. So if it's an almost t-shirt or something, you don't have to keep it.
Actually, then I really want it, please.
Okay. Pro Wrestling Crate. So we already know what the micro brawler is, but I don't know what any of the other stuff is. So I thought we'd open it here live on the air and we'd see.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I love the figures, but this because there's more like pizzazz and there's more like unknown. Like
right.
You knew which figures in the labels, right? So this.
So they have a card that comes on, but it says spoilers on the back. So I'm just going to set that card over there so that I don't see. All right. So okay. The first shirt, Tom, the shirts are on top, is Eddie.
Yeah, that's cool.
Little Eddie Guerrero action.
Yeah.
So that's coming your way, judging from your response.
That's wonderful. I love Eddie Guerrero. So
now the second one I think looks really cool. Curious how you're gonna explain if you want, but it's Mercedes Moné.
Yeah. I think that's one that you're actually going to probably make a buck off of because of how hot she is right now.
That's
so
true.
Is that navy though?
It is navy.
Okay. Well, see, I love when they don't do black shirts, even though black shirts are fine. I'll definitely take Eddie. I'll let you keep Mercedes. Throw that up on eBay or something, and maybe get some of your money back for the crate.
That's fair.
Because here's the scoop. Like, as much as my daughter does love Sasha Banks, she's not talked about Sasha Banks for like the last 3 or 4 years. So even if I got it and gave it to her, she'd be like, "What?
What? And who is Mercedes Moné?"
Exactly.
And she probably doesn't wear the same size shirt as you, but
they steal my clothes all the time, dude.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, it's crazy.
So as mentioned, the micro brawler, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
So cool. Classic. That's giving me WrestleMania 3 vibes.
That's what I was just thinking. That is WrestleMania 3 Ricky. I'm still hoping the Coliseum collection does WrestleMania 3 Ricky and Randy as a pairing. Maybe that'll be Series 3. Series 2 goes up for order on Wednesday this upcoming week, and your old friend Jim will be ordering Rick and Jake. With the pin, there's always a pin. It's the JAS, Jericho Appreciation Society. That's cool.
It's a cool pin. Yeah.
Cool pin. I don't know what I'll do with it, but it's a cool pin. There's a sticker in here. Eddie Kingston sticker.
That's cool. If that happens to come with the Eddie Guerrero shirt, I won't.
You wouldn't be upset. All right. Good. Well, this is all right. That's a.
I love your responses because I don't know what's coming, and you're like, "Oh, well, there's that, and that's that. Oh, and okay."
so Super Kicks socks. I'll just show you that to start with. Okay. So I got a pair of socks.
Yeah.
It's Coco Beware and Frankie in a pair of socks.
That's money. Yep.
The finest combed cotton these socks are made using.
So is Coco on one sock and Frankie on the other?
No, Frankie's right here at the bottom on the sock.
Okay, it's one of the same.
Then you flip over the other side and it's the rest of Coco, I guess. So I'm thinking they kind of look like they probably have the same on both socks.
Got it. Okay. I mean, it would have been more production to do Frankie on one and Coco on the other, but that would have been kind of fun.
And then they have an envelope that has your autograph, so even more unboxing right here. All right. It's just incredible.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm with you. Like, and again, it's like I didn't know who was in the crate other than Ricky.
I couldn't remember, to be honest. Other than I remember Jericho Appreciation was, and I kind of thought they might have been a shirt, but And that's it. That's what we got.
Well, you know where that Justin Credible autograph's going up on your ECW Wall of Fame.
Right. It's it's just incredible. Okay. That's the thing. So ultimately, I paid $35 for Ricky Steamboat. And Tom gets an Eddie Guerrero shirt out of the deal. So
here's the thing. I think you hopefully can make some of that money back on that Mercedes Monet shirt without a doubt. Not that you did this for that anyway, but like, you know what I mean? Like if you end up getting $20 for it, then you paid $15 for the micro brawler, and
which are 20 usually. When they do their 2-week ones, they just had a Bobby Heenan one up, and I was tempted. I think he might still be up, and I'm still tempted. They're about $20 each.
I've only got 2. I've got the Chris Hero, which was the one I had to have, right? And I got that on eBay a few years ago. And then in my crate, I got IRS. And I mean, and it's cool, but it's just sitting in a drawer.
Yeah, and I have Vader. I have one of the Macho Mans. Well, I ordered the very first Macho when they were like, it's only going to be up for 2 hours.
That's right.
And then remember they did the whole day of like variants after that. I was like, well, I wouldn't have ordered the first one if I knew you were doing that. I thought I was getting something like super, limited and collectible, and it's not really.
And then you got the orange and the red and the purple and the
right. I'm like, no, you're not getting me on that. I'm my own one. So I do have a rant that would be actually display wise. I have a Randy. Savage micro brawler, so I can put Randy and Ricky next to each other. That'll work.
That's cool.
Although I have a shelf that is all Ricky Steamboat, so that'll probably go there. Frankly, the shelf's over full now. I need to move to second shelf with Ricky. They've started to produce more stuff with him. So I have Vader. I have the little chibi ones. They're a little more rounded. I got the Naito and
Takahashi.
Yeah, somebody. Oh, Jay White. Naito and White. That's who it is. Which Jay White, that's a whole other conversation we could be having pretty soon. Done with New Japan Pro Wrestling, it seems, and could be showing up elsewhere before too long. I have
a feeling we'll talk about him on the week of April 3rd.
I think it's possible that we'll be talking about him that way. He would be a great Monday after WrestleMania appearance. I think Sean Ross Sapp said this, and I think it makes a ton of sense. Cena beats Theory for the U.S. title at Mania. Cena does an open challenge on Monday. Jay White comes out. That'd be pretty awesome.
Would be awesome.
Yeah, heck of a way to debut Jay White. We'll see. Well, we're right up against that time frame. I know you.
Did you say you had a gripe? I thought you said you had a gripe. I'm glad. I hope you don't have a gripe. I appreciate that. I appreciate both of those unboxings and that you shared them with me and with us collectively.
Yeah, no, I don't. Well, if I had one, it's gone. I've been made happy by what I've found in the boxes this morning. Yeah, I don't remember what my gripe was if I had one. Yeah, it's gone. So, well, our plan is we'll be back with you with Revolution picks next week, which will probably be the majority of the show, to be perfectly honest, because of how many matches they usually do announce, even though with that Iron Man match, and then we'll go from there. And we are firmly now in the WWE side on the road to WrestleMania. We're on the road to Supercard. AEW, I guess we're on the road to Revolution, but we'll be done with that road next week, and then it'll be fun kind of moving forward from there. So. Everybody have a great weekend. If you're watching, I don't think there's any real major wrestling shows this weekend. I think Impact has a show, but there's no AEW, Ring of Honor, WWE, New Japan. Big shows. New Japan Cup coming up. So big stuff going on there in New Japan. But enjoy whatever you're doing this weekend. Watch some XFL. That started last week. I caught about 5 minutes of it and went, it's football. When Martavius Bryant is the best known name, it's hard to get into for me. Tom, anything else you want to cover?
I can't believe you threw shade at Josh Gordon like that.
Is he in the XFL? I didn't even know he was in there.
He is, yeah.
I didn't even know. So it tells you how much I paid attention.
Jim did not draft an XFL fantasy team. Let the record show.
I will say I was home last Saturday, prior to the start of the league. And I did Google and see if there were some sites, and there were some sites that I really didn't know I've not played on those sites before that did have XFL fantasy leagues. And I thought about it for a split second. I'm like, I would totally be the guy though, just following the rankings, because most of these players I don't know much about. And so I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. But I did think about it for a minute to just, it might have been fun for a group of us that play fantasy football to have gotten together and done that, and knowing that none of us had an advantage over the other one.
Right.
Probably.
It's like, how do you throw blind darts? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that might have been a fun, we can always talk strategy when we talk NFL leagues, but not so much for the XFL, unless somebody is really in tune to the XFL. There might have been one of our friends that is. Probably not. Well, I think that wraps us up for Two Spot Monkeys Live. I think I've tried to end this show 3 times. Everybody be safe this weekend. Have a great weekend, whatever you're doing. We'll be back to talk with you next week, back on Two Spot Monkeys Live.